Hello, wonderful people. I hope you had a great week. It's been kind of very colorful, I have to say. Here in the United States, we had a little bit of a break because we had Independence Day celebration. That gets me questioning it a lot about what freedom really is. And I'm diving into that rabbit hole. I've been reading so much about what it really means and how can I become completely free. But that's not what I'm going to talk about right now. So there was a beautiful new moon yesterday afternoon, Friday, and it's in the sign of Cancer. That's where our heart is, our inner child, where we feel safe and secure, and our emotions can have a space, an environment that can be very meaningful if we allow. Now, we're between two full moons in Capricorn. So the first one was 15 days ago, and the next one's going to be a fortnight from now. And it is interesting because the first one was a very, very beginning degrees of the sign of Capricorn, and so it was a full moon, so there was a culmination happening. Pluto still in Aquarius, but is retrograde and is running very fast to re-enter for the last time in the sign of Capricorn, and that's going to happen first week of September, and it's going to stay there until November. We're going to feel a little bit of a movement if we haven't already. We see that the whole world seems to be collapsing, seems to be decaying, seems to be in a state of dissolution, and actually it is, which is actually great. Now, I want to say one phrase that I want you to meditate on it, because this is what I've been using as a mantra in the last few weeks. And it's, if I were to start anew, in a new space, in a new place, in a new environment, in a new civilization, in a new something, what are the things that I can bring forth as a human being? What are my resources that I bring forth so I can contribute to civilization? I'm going to say it again. What are the things that I can contribute towards new civilization? Because we are starting already to rebuild something. The fact that we are in that state of decay and things are towards an end, that also means that there's something emerging already that we kind of sense. And I don't know if you felt it, but I felt the need to actually make a lot of intentions towards my future. In a year, 2 years, 6 months, even in the next 3 weeks. So I've been directing very much the energy of my intentions. Okay, so the next moon, the new moon today, or yesterday, it's about a new beginning of how you're going to feel safe in a place. Because, when humans feel safe, emotional safe, to say no, to say yes, to be authentic, you can actually thrive. It is the most essential need that human beings have, is to feel connected to something that they can trust. So they, instead of being in a state of fear, panic, and in a state of fright and anxiety and whatnot, if you're safe, you actually feel like contributing, creating, having joy, and all of that. So if you're environment is safe and sound, there's so much that you can actually give to the rest of the world. But if you're not taking care of those needs, emotional needs, then at the very end you end up at minus. You're actually selling yourself short. So this new moon, wherever 15 degrees around of Cancer falls in your chart, is going to tell you that this is something that you would like to value, that is going to bring something forth. Also because Venus is in Cancer, and Venus is very close connected to that conjunction of the new moon. And I'm looking at the chart right now, and it's also making a square. Making a square to Chiron. So Chiron, it's in Aries, 23 degrees right now. Chiron is allowing us this years since it entered into Aquarius and into Aries to really actually find the courage to be oneself, even if it feels vulnerable. Actually, if it feels vulnerable, you should really work on that, because we have only until January to start really showing up with courage. And so Venus right now having that square is a beginning of a square. It's the first quarter square, and with the new moon is actually pointing to the idea of really giving a lot of value in how you feel emotionally, so you can actually propel that action, and you're going to feel okay being courageous about anything that makes you feel vulnerable, or you're shy about it, you don't want to confront. So that's very beautiful. I feel that it works. We also have a slight square with the sun is squaring the lunar nodes, and again, the sun needs to feel connected so it can reassure itself that it's going to be sovereign, it's going to state its needs, it's going to not be afraid of confronting things that in the past was easier to just kind of like look the other way. And I'm saying all this is because we're going to have another full moon in 15 days, and that's going to be at the very end of Capricorn. And because it's going to be the last full moon, well, Pluto is going to be coming back to Capricorn, and it's going to close a whole cycle that started in 2008 when when Pluto first arrived to Capricorn. And if you can close your eyes and kind of feel a little bit all the things that have happened in your life since 2008, it's like you've lived like a cat. You lived at least 5 lives. At least I have lived like 5 different lives. And so this full moon is going to be at 29 degrees of both signs, Cancer and Capricorn. And guess what? Pluto is going to be conjunct with the moon. So it's a very intense way to kind of like culminate everything that we've been really working towards having our inner authority. So imagine that you're a happy kid and you're playing with all the toys, and all of a sudden the person who takes care of you, the authority figure, comes back home and enters the room, and is going to say, what? Why is everything upside down? Somebody has to put all the toys back in place. And I say this is because Saturn went very not long ago, I think it was a week ago, went back retrograde in Pisces. So I have felt this last week that I actually have to take care of a lot of chores and things that I had at the back of my mind. There were those to-do lists, and I was not really taking care of that. And so I felt the energy in the last 3 days to realign and reassess and make not just lists, but actually start taking them off because I'm actually doing them. So this lunation of the new moon and the second full moon is going to fall in my 12th and 6th house. My 6th house is ruled by Cancer. So that's interesting because I all of a sudden started to feel like, okay, I really have to change a little bit my routines. I also in solar return chart, I have Pluto, my 6th house. So I really feel the need to kind of establish a new kind of routine. Been changing it a little bit, but right now I just want to tweak it so I can be very productive without overextending myself, because productivity is what really leads to more freedom, at least financial freedom, because you're voluntarily taking care of your needs, and then you establish a productive situation when you create stuff, and that can in return give you some value for your time, or what we call money. So that's what's going on. So I've been also being very attentive about my expenses, also because that Saturn is in the 2nd house. So I'm kind of making lists of all the things that where I have to pay. And it's interesting, if I don't know if you realize, but in the last 5 to 6 years, we are just only living through memberships. And there are some of them that is very difficult to like cancel. Like, am I going to cancel Photoshop? I use it every day, but they keep on, adding the cost. So it's interesting because the WEF, the people in Davos, they just want you to be free, quote unquote. But actually what they're doing is like they're creating systems like Netflix and everything is you don't own anything, you are a member, and then basically they can control your life like that. So I started really realizing that I want to make a list in the next few weeks where I'm going to go through all the things that I actually do not need, because for instance I don't have Netflix, I don't have HBO, I don't pay for those stuff. I actually don't watch movies or series anymore. And since I did that, I have so much extra time to study. So I've been studying a lot of stuff like Austrian economics, and now I'm down the rabbit hole of the origins of communism and socialism since the Revolutionary War, because that's more or less where everything started. So I'm interested in creating new content and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say is that this moon, these new nations in plural, it's almost like we're saying goodbye to a way how we were relating into what authority was. So whether we were waiting for some authority to tell us what to do, like the herd mentality, and so you're still waiting for November somebody to win the election so you know what's going to happen. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's going to win, because if you're still waiting for other people to show up for you, you're not a free person. And if you're not a free person, then you're always going to be the victim of other people's choices. So the whole idea of having the North Node right now in Aries and Chiron in Aries this year has been to remind us that we have to, if you want to be free, we actually have to understand what we are claiming. And another thing that I've been adding to the whole lot is like it's important to understand the language of the things that are deceiving us. There's a lot of deception out there, a lot. And I'm not claiming that I have the truth, but I know that whatever I was seeing, believing, and ideologies that I thought that I could, resonate with, they're no longer true. And so I do not live in fear or anything. I actually having a lot of fun doing that. So I feel like we're in a very good moment. By the second lunation, the full moon of Capricorn, Mars is going to enter Gemini, and we're going to have a conjunction actually in the last few days with Uranus. That's going to be a little bit shaky. And if you remember, because I was doing this the other day, going back. If you remember, the 1st of August of 2022, Mars and Uranus met. That was the last time they met, but the North Node was there in Taurus, 18 degrees. My life changed a lot that day because there was a new direction that initiated something else that I know that is taking shape right now. And so I did something not long ago that I went online and I tried to look all the times that Mars has conjunct Uranus since I was born. And it was very interesting because especially the last, I would say, 30 years, every time they meet in one of my personal planets or one part of my chart that is very evident. So I'm looking forward for this moment of disruption to see what is it that I'm going to initiate. I actually like innovation. I'm an Aquarius rising, so for me it's just show me the way. I trust wherever this energy is taking me. So we have that. We're going to have Venus at that time already halfway in Leo, and it's going to be conjuncting Vesta, and Mercury is going to be in Leo as well. And I love that because Vesta is how we devote ourselves to the things that we care, and having Venus there is like the devotion that we can have for the things that we value and all the creative stuff that we value. So just going back to the idea of being that child in that room. So yes, you can play with the toys, but make sure that you pick them up and you organize them so you don't have to have the father or the mother figure coming and telling you what to do. You already know, you're accountable, you're responsible. So I feel that we're in a very good place about being responsible, learning how to say what we need, having the ability to say no to certain things, and also the last thing is having the ability to really determine and discern if we're living behind a cloud of deception, a veil of like I don't know, fog, where we don't want to confront, or we want to actually go all the way, remove the veil, and have the courage, because once you confront it, then everything else can dissolve. And I feel that a lot. I was feeling that this week. It's like, okay, let's go, let's merge with it, let's face whatever thing I don't feel like doing. It's like, you know, those things that you have in a list and you go, I'll do them later. No, let's do them now. And by doing them right now, then the fear dissolves immediately, and then something new emerges, and it's this like energy of creativity that is happening because I don't have this thing in my head as an anxious thing going around my head. So I want to leave it there. I hope that you're all doing great. I'm very concerned about certain things in the world, but I'm not concerned from the fear perspective. Actually, I'm going to say it again. I said it before. I am very much putting the intention of how can I contribute in civilization in the next years to come. That's really what is propelling me right now. Like, I'm initiating something and I just can't wait to show you the ideas that I have. Okay, take good care. I spoke for a long time. Jesus, 16 minutes. So wishing you all well. Bye-bye.